We're live here today for Ask the Author. So welcome to this super fun and engaging format. It's a pretty chilled format where you can ask whatever questions you want. So welcome everyone. And this is going to be a chilled little thing, drinking coffee and all. So as I said, hashtag Ask the Author or hashtag Ask Thomas, and you can be part of the conversation. You can also just ask your question in the stream below. So this is just a really chilled conversation here today about the journey, from good advertising, and obviously we're going to talk about my latest book here today. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining this very, very easy little format. And obviously super excited to seeing you all. It's been what a year, so thought we were out of lockdown, but then we're back at all of this live stuff again. And what you can expect from me and the team, obviously going into Jan, Feb and March, is more live content, more webinars, obviously because the mission is still very much the same, being a catalyst for your positive change. So ask your comments below in the stream and I will try and answer them in this little short 15-minute fire chat format. No stupid questions, and so good to see so many of you here today. So yes, we actually do have one question up here from Maria. So first question in from Ask the Author and hashtag Ask Thomas. What was the most challenging part of writing Hero Trap? I think it was a lot easier than the first book, in fact, in the sense that I've sort of learned a bit more about the writing process. I think for those of you who try to write something longer format, I think the thing is just to keep writing. And I'm sort of like a rewards type person. So what I would do is, if I didn't finish this chapter, if I didn't finish these 2 pages, I weren't allowed to do X, Y, Z. So for me, at least, that was an important thing. And obviously also to keep the writing process flowing, I don't want to leave the well empty. So I want to start when I still feel inspired. So I'm not going back to the laptop, not feeling ready to write. So that's at least one of my tricks for that. And again, do ask your questions in the stream. We're streaming across platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and obviously also on Instagram. So please do write whatever questions you have. And so good to see so many of you joining here today in this little super short format, Ask the Author. And we got another question in here, some from Jose. I haven't read your book. Okay, good beginning. We can start with that one, but that's okay. But agree with your message. I don't, however, own a brand. Will this book benefit me as a consumer? So Sharon, so first of all, I don't think you're a consumer. I don't think you're defined by the role of just consumption. I think that is one of the key mistakes of marketing and advertising today and how brands speak. We are people, obviously, with aspirations, dreams, and so much that we want to do in our lives, and consumption is not that only thing. But yes, I do think, in fact, that both books, in fact, both Good Advertising and The Hero Trap, can be quite a good eye-opener to understand a lot of the messaging that is out there at the moment. I mean, obviously, in most of the developed markets, you can't go into the supermarket without products that pitch themselves, sustainable, handmade, fair, good to animals and whatnot. It's almost become, sustainability has almost become what long-lasting taste was to chewing gum in the 80s. So stupid advertising lingo. So I think hopefully those 2 books, Good Advertising and The Hero Trap, can be an eye-opener into how brands try and position themselves, but also more importantly, how brands are actually trying to help you live a more sustainable, healthy life, which is obviously a movement that has been growing over the last decade or so. Again, welcome to Ask the Author, and whatever questions, do ask them. There's no stupid questions at all. So whether you are a creative, a marketeer, or as Jose, just an ordinary person tuning in, curious about this mind shift that's happening, or this shift in advertising and marketing and in companies in general towards sustainability, pop your question in there and I'll do my best to answer them. And obviously Ask the Author is basically dealing a little bit with this little book here. And I just share some anecdotes of the book as well. So one of the things that you might recognize is the cover. So the cover is done by Cuban immigrants in the US called Adele Rodriguez, who's very famous for his not so flattering portraits of Trump. And so one of the things we do share in the book is actually the process towards coming up with that cover, just to show you that the creative process is a battle. And I promised Adele to do the exact same thing. So I did share all the awful titles. In coming up with a title, it's almost like naming a child. So I did a bit of that, and there's some really bad ones. So there's a thing here called Behind the Title. You know, things like Nothing Beats the Finish Line. Wow. Finding Your Own Stick and Carrot, or the thing that doesn't really run off the tongue here, Empowerability. So not very easy at all. So again, do ask your questions, and we do have one there from Alina. So probably Andy, if you can write that in the chat as well. But we have another question here, and I'll come back to you, Alina. Have you got any more books in that you can look, that I can share with you in the future? Wow. I just feel that I finished my second book, and people always want to know what new book is coming. You know what? I would have wished that during the pandemic, and especially during lockdown, that I wrote the book. But the book came out in June, so just after, well, the very beginning of the lockdown. So I don't have anything specific in development right now. For me, book writing is very much a discipline of love and hate. It's really about, the first book, Advertising, was because I hated something so much, so I had to change it, the world of advertising and brands and how they push consumption. Whereas the second book was probably much more of an introspective work in terms of looking at my own inability to create change in my own life, and how do we actually drive change and motivate people to embrace change. So keep making those questions come in here. And obviously we had one from Alina, and I'm still trying to see if I can, in fact, recuperate that one. I can't see that one right now, so maybe Andy can share that. There it is. What's the most unexpected or complimentary content you got from potential clients of Goodvertising? How much of an eye-opener was it, or was it expected, anticipated information? I read that way too fast, Alina, but I think the essence of it is obviously some of the unexpected results from my first book, Goodvertising, that I got from clients. This pivot away from just plug and products, talk about how great the brand is, to obviously trying and solve some of the social and environmental problems that companies and all of us are facing. I think some of the unexpectedness obviously is there's almost been two camps. There's been one camp that's almost been ignorant and obviously sort of trying to stay out of it, and then there's been a camp that's been evolving quickly, with more and more brands obviously embracing this sustainable shift. I think probably one of the things that shocked me again and again is that in many people's eyes, they can't see the connection between the brand and sustainability. And for me, what I love about sustainability is, in fact, it deals with everything that matters in our lives. It deals with our relationship with our community, with our family, with our friends. It deals with clean air. It deals with being stuck in traffic in Bucharest, in Bangkok, in Copenhagen, or wherever you're calling in from. It deals with healthy food. It deals with all these things that, for me at least, is the recipe to good and happy lives. And I think what I talk a lot about in my new book, The Hero Trap, is obviously this shift away from how brands have talked about how great their products are to suddenly talking about how great they are for the world. And obviously this failed mentalities, they haven't changed the mentality. If you hear what most brands are talking about is this do good nonsense, look at us, how great we are. And essentially, I don't think we're buying that anymore. I don't think we're buying their values or what they do. I think essentially more and more we're buying who they can help us become. So it's a move from being preachers to helping us achieve amazing things in our lives. So what we have another question in from Janet. So let's put it up there. Hello, Thomas. Great to hear from you. I haven't had a chance to read the book yet. So another one. This is a good opportunity. I'm a communications marketing specialist. It would be great if you could give some heads up on what to expect for industry experts from reading this, and what was your motivation for this book. Thank you, Janet. Very, very good question. And I mean, Advertising was, the Hero Trap was in fact inspired by my own inability to create change in my own life, sustainable change. And so one of the key things that I wanted to do with this new book was to set a new paradigm for brand leadership, and to get brands to avoid running into sort of the hero trap and pitching themselves as climate heroes, diversity leaders, saying, look at us as a brand, how cool we are for the planet, because it's simply not believable. I mean, my niece, Clara, 16 years old, the only thing she has experienced in her lifetime is companies being to blame for social injustice and environmental degradation. And yet all brands are pitching themselves as are these world-saving heroes. So I think it's about time we change the narrative and in the hero trap and lay out a new way of building brands, a new way of building leadership that starts with one pivotal question, which is in fact, who can you help people become? So really unlocking leadership. And for me, some of the greatest leaders I have had in my life have been the ones who have inspired me, who helped me growth, who opened my eyes towards new things. And I think this is the real opportunity behind the book. So very much about moving away from being a preacher brand to being a coach, helping all of us to embrace the much needed change. And we also have another question in here. And again, welcome to Ask the Author. This is just a pretty chilled format where you can basically ask whatever you will in an unbiased, relaxed environment. It can be about the book, it can be about my life, it can be about writing, it can be about creativity, it can be about whatever rocks your boat. But I got a question in here again from Jacob. So how do you maintain a steady flow when you're writing, and what keeps you grounded? So Jacob, I did answer that other one a little bit earlier in the live stream. Basically, I try to reward myself if I finish the chapter. So that's how I keep the steady flow and never leave the writing well empty. What keeps me grounded? I think it's a constant thing that I've been battling with throughout my career. I think I'm very much of an optimist, a yes type person that do say yes to way too many engagements and things. I think the one thing that probably grounds me a little bit is, it sounds weird, but running, I guess. I really like running's ability to just kind of unplug my brain and just go with the flow. So running is probably keeping me grounded. And obviously for me, it was a tremendous exercise during the first month of lockdown of last year, to go from having more than 200 travel days a year to suddenly seeing myself in Copenhagen. So we have a question in again, and do ask the author, or hashtag ask Thomas, or you can write it just underneath this little dialogue here. And thank you for all these comments on the stream. We have one here from Steve. So where can we buy your book? Lots of places, hopefully. You can buy it online at the web shop, obviously. So that's probably the best place to go. You could go to Amazon, but why would we? We don't need more billionaires and rockets, do we? So that's one place you can do. We also have an audiobook. I always sort of call it the book for the ones who are too busy to read. Because one thing I realized early on was that, as some of you have actually written in your questions, is I haven't read the book yet. So I did want to give people no excuses. And I thought, most of us have an hour in our day, right? While we're washing the dishes, while we're walking the dog, or whatever we might want to do. And so what we did with the audiobook was, rather than me narrating, you'd be tired of that anyway, for 16 hours, we did a 1-hour audio summary of that book. So it's really easy, digestible, dishwashing format. So if you just want all the highlights and you don't want to deal with the mighty pages and the reading experience, that's also a good opportunity for you there to get started with the book. We don't want to make this stream too long here today, so I do hope you have a couple of last questions here. And honestly, it's really great to see you all before the holidays. I gotta say that I look forward to I almost feel like an iPhone where you see the battery is like red. I sort of feel that I need to be recharged a little bit. I hope you out there, you probably feel a bit the same way. So anyway, no last questions. I'll give you just a minute or two to ask. No foolish questions, whatever it might be. It's ask the author, it's asking about writing, it's asking about creativity, it's asking about sustainability, it's asking about standing up for change. No problem. No other questions. This is anyway Wednesday afternoon where I'm calling in from in Copenhagen. But again, it's been a pleasure for me. We're probably going to do this much more regularly now, because we are doing lockdown now, which will give you the opportunity to get some of your questions answered or share some highlights. And then we had Alina there asking again a question there. Are there any books on sustainability as branding strategy for politicians and or public servants? Interesting enough, Alina, I earlier this morning did a little keynote for some CMOs in Thailand, and I had a question around the upcoming election for the municipalities. So do I know any? I think there is, so don't hold me up on this, but I'll have a look and I'll see if we can share it with you afterwards. But I do think there is one around that I do think I read as research for my book, Good Advertising, that was around sort of public campaigns. So I'm pretty sure that you should be able to find some stuff there, because a lot of this field, basically before this became the things that brands were doing, some of the early ones who obviously adopted and developed a lot of the frameworks that we're still using in this space were nonprofits. It was public institution, obviously dealing with things such as public health, public security, environmental challenges. So there is, and I'm quite sure there's some very good literature out there on some of these things. And I have the bibliography, tough word to say here on a Wednesday, in the book, and I'll see if I can find it. There will for sure be literature out there for you, Alina, to dive into, and it's such an interesting area. But anyways, that's what I had to share with you here today, Wednesday afternoon. I wish you the best of luck on your change journey. Hopefully you got a little bit inspired, energized on your own change journeys, or maybe you want to know more about this. Follow me on some of the channels, and really wishing you happy holidays and the best beginning to the new year. So thank you so much, all of you. Pleasure seeing you again.